If I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Time to get paid.
Child grows up to be somebody that just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be somebody you just love to burn. Mom loves the both of them. You see, it's in the blood. Both kids are good to mom. Blood's thicker than the mud. It's a family affair.
I'm Tavis, Smiley, and we are into hour 2, and I'm glad to have you hanging out with us today on our program as we are all anxious about the big debate tomorrow night. And we'll talk to Jamie Harrison, the chair of the DNC, at the top of our third hour today. We thank Shermichael Singleton for that first hour. Spirited conversation about what he expects tomorrow evening, CNN contributor and host of his own show on SiriusXM. So a rich show today with some great conversations about politics and beyond. On the B side of this hour, we're going to talk to Isaac Hayes III, son of Mr. Hot Buttered Soul, Mr. Black Moses, about the recent judgment that forced Donald Trump's campaign to stop using his father's song at his rallies. The song in question is Hold On, I'm Coming. Written by Isaac Hayes with his songwriting partner David Porter, performed by Sam and Dave, released in 1966, and they were sick of Donald Trump, speaking of the debate tomorrow night, using this song at his rally. So I can assure you he will not walk out tomorrow night to Hold On, I'm Coming when you see him on ABC. So we'll talk to Isaac Hayes III on the B side of this hour. We commence this hour for the next few minutes with Rosita Stevens Halsey, the niece of civil rights legal pioneer, the Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray, talking about the legacy of her aunt, who was featured this year as the first coin of the 2024 American Women's Quarters Program. But also, we will talk in a moment here about the Pauli Murray Center for History and Social Justice at her childhood home in Durham, North Carolina. They've been working on this for a long time, like a decade, and the home of this iconic American will finally be open to the public, and I'm pleased to welcome her to this program to talk about her aunt. Miss Rosita, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. So nice to be with you.
It's good to have you back on again. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me just start, before I get to the family home and the center and how excited you all must be to have this as a national historic landmark. We'll get to that in a moment here, but let me commence with this coin and your aunt Pauli Murray being on this coin. How did that news hit you?
Well, I actually was a part of the process. They really started with about 300 women who were submitted by congressional people as well as several organizations like the National Women's History Museum and the National Women's History Alliance. And then they began to whittle the list down as they looked up, information about each one. And I believe they came to about 30 and then spent some existing time. They work with the families to get information and clarification, and, of course, to make sure the family doesn't have a problem with it. And then they picked 20 people who had to be approved by Secretary of the Treasury, Mrs. Yeltsin. And so I knew about 4 months before the quarters came out that she had been selected. But we were, sworn to secrecy. They didn't want any discussion of who the people were, until Director Gibson of the U.S. Mint made the announcement. So there were 4 years. This is the third year. So Aunt Pauli was the first one released this year in 2024. But Maya Angelou was in the first year,
Sure.
and Aunt Paulie's very good friend, Eleanor Roosevelt, was in the 5 people in the second year. And then Aunt Paulie was the first one, number 11 for this year. And then the program ends next year with the last 5 women.
Let me ask you right quick here, and we'll continue when we come forward talking about your Aunt Paulie. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain for those who may not have heard or know who Paulie Murray was. She is a pioneering feminist and civil rights activist, legal scholar, and more. Minister, of course. We'll talk about all that in a moment if you're not familiar with Paulie Murray. But you know she had to be somebody to be on a coin, and you know that she had to be somebody for her home to now be established as a national historic landmark. So if you don't know who Paulie Murray is, I'm going to catch you up when we come forward. But in 30 seconds, just tell me right quick, even though you were aware of it, when you saw the coin and you saw your Aunt Paulie on the coin, tell me how that part felt.
It was like a transformative thing. I mean, just to hold it in my hand, to see her image, and to see the word hope was, which was in the title of her autobiography, and something I always considered as a part of her, because she never gave up hope all through her life, even though there were so many setbacks, institutionally and what have you. And I had a watch party at my house with about 10 people so that, we could talk about it and what have you. At that point, the coins came out on January 2nd for her. And I didn't receive mine, I think, for about 12 days. So, I was at my mailbox early every day looking for it. And I had ordered my coins about 5 months before. My niece ordered hers, I think, a couple of weeks before, and she got hers before I got mine. And so, it was disappointing, but I knew they would come.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. And when we come forward, we'll talk more about the backstory to the Reverend Dr. Paulie Murray. As I said, pioneering feminist, civil rights activist. We'll talk about her life and legacy. We'll talk about the Paulie Murray Center for History and Social Justice at her childhood home in Durham, North Carolina. What a great honor to have your birth home established as a national historic landmark by the National Park Service. It's a big deal, and soon the public will be welcome into that home. We'll talk about it with Rosita Stevens-Holsey, the niece of Paulie Murray, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward. Tavis Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Have you noticed the hype around retinol lately? It's all over my social media. But did you know you can get retinol in a body wash? Amazing, right? Olay Retinol Body Wash is packed with moisturizing vitamin B3 complex plus retinol to transform dry skin to visibly renewed in just 14 days. Try it the next time you shower and see the difference for yourself with Olay Retinol Body Wash for visibly renewed skin in just 14 days. And try Olay Retinol 24 Body Lotion.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You've got a Pepto predicament, Beach Bum.
Hey, we're heading down to the beach. You coming?
Yeah, Dad. You coming?
I had a little too much to eat at the resort buffet. I need a minute.
Oh, you overdid it. And now your beach vacation is giving you belly waves. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief so you can get back to making memories.
Let's go, Dad!
When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rosita Stevens-Hosey, who is the niece of civil rights legal pioneer, Reverend Dr. Paulie Murray. All right, Rosita Stevens-Hosey, here's your moment here. And, of course, you've written a book, and there are documentaries that are streaming everywhere about your aunt. She has come into her own over the last few years. It's always amazing to me. I said this the other day to somebody. It's always amazing to me how, as time marches on, there are people whose names we seem not to know, and then all of a sudden, of course, there are people like you behind the scenes who are doing the hard work to make sure they are not forgotten. But you look up, and all of a sudden, there are all these books about these people, and movies, and documentaries, and I'm thinking of Bayard Rustin, who's finally getting the respect he deserves after all these years.
Yeah.
And there's so many. So Paulie Murray, your auntie, is finally getting all the respect that she has earned and so richly deserves. But for those who do not know who Paulie Murray is, spelled P-A-U-L-I, of course, Paulie Murray, just take a few minutes before I get to the center and the house and all that good stuff. Just tell us who Paulie Murray was.
Well, I think now what people take away, number one, is the fact that it was actually her college thesis at Howard University Law School that she wrote about Plessy versus Ferguson, the 13th and 14th Amendments, and it became the core work that Thurgood Marshall and the NAACP used before the Supreme Court to win, may I add, Brown versus the Board of Education, which desegregated schools in the entire United States. They all didn't fall in, in the 50s and really do it. The southern states resisted. But it was her paper and things she had discussed as a junior at Howard University. So that is one of the reasons. Also, she did get quite a bit of publicity when she worked in women's issues to get women equality in pay. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg used her theories to win Reed versus Reed, which also was revolutionary in terms of female rights. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg put Aunt Paulie's name on the brief and made sure that people knew Aunt Paulie's work and her theories were there. Aunt Paulie didn't actually work, like on the committee of lawyers who were doing it, but she gave her a due. But when Thurgood Marshall and the NAACP went before them, her name wasn't on the brief and she was not mentioned. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg also has told many people about Aunt Paulie's work in Brown versus Board of Ed. And so that was when there was a little momentum about, well, who is this woman we've never heard about? So most of her work was behind the scenes because in the 30s and in the 40s and in the 50s, women were thought of as housewives and family members and mothers. And those kinds of jobs were not easily open to women. And even when she was in law school, they kept saying, well, what are you going to do when you get out? How are you going to be a lawyer? And she did have problems most of her life in getting the kind of legal work she should have gotten with all the education and experience she had. Because she had a doctorate in law from Yale University, the first black person in the country to do so. And so she worked on the March on Washington with Martin Luther King, but the women were always in the back.
That's right.
And none of the women, were allowed to walk with the men down the avenue, over to the monument. And no women except Mahalia Jackson, who was singing, were allowed on the stage. So even Rosa Parks was kept in the background for that.
No. Two other quick questions about Aunt Paulie's. Here I am calling her Aunt Paulie like she's my Aunt Paulie. She's your Aunt Paulie. But let me ask two other quick questions, Rosita, Miss Rosita, about your aunt. She wasn't just a graduate of Howard Law. She was at the top of her class. All these men and Paulie Murray, and she was top of her class. Everybody's talking about Kamala Harris having gone to Howard as an undergrad. Paulie Murray went to Howard Law. Tell me about being in the top of her class and how the men handled that or not. How the law school handled that, for that matter.
I can tell you that even the professor who offered her a scholarship to go to Howard, and who was one of her professors when she was there, when she would talk in class openly, when they were having conversations about law, they all, sort of giggled at her, theories and all.
Mm-hmm.
It was not that her theories were crazy. It was that she was way ahead of her time in terms of being a legal genius and in dissecting, what was related to the Constitution and what wasn't. So they got to the point where they wouldn't even call on her until she became the last person to answer a question. And then the professor would say something like, well, I guess it will be easy for Murray to come up with the answer now because none of you had it. So, elimination would help her come up with the answer. No, she was going home every night determined to be at the top of her class because these men would not take her seriously. When they had, every year, big corporations would come and they'd have what you call smokers. She was never invited because she was a woman. And these smokers were like, being out on the golf course in terms of meeting the right kind of people. And, yes, she was a woman, but she still could have gone. But, no, they left her out. And then at the end of your junior year, the top student, mind you, not the top male, but, of course, they didn't expect women. So the top student became the judge of the court. This was extremely important if you're in law school because certain students become the recorder, certain students become the lawyers, and then you have a judge who determines how the case should be solved, and the professor is evaluating you, on the spot of what, techniques and all, and research you're using. And so when her name was at the top of all the male students, because she was the only female, they said, oh, no, there's no female. No judge is going to be a woman. And even the professor didn't intervene and say, yes, but Murray is the top student, so she has to be the judge. They had no practices in her junior year in 1943. Okay, then 1944 was their senior year. Who do you think's at the top of the class? Murray. Well, if they had refused to allow, but, they had a few choices. Tell her she can't do it and put the next guy, the first male student, top male student, in as the judge, or don't do it at all and none of them get practice, or let her be the judge. So they did let her be the judge in her senior year. And most people don't know that. She's not a complainer. She's very humble. Yeah. She never sought fame or fortune. And but she did. I mean, she would talk up for herself all the time. But the way that she solved the problem was to make sure she was the top student in the class. Then, I believe you probably know that the top student in the class was destined to get a Rosenwald full ride to Harvard to get a master's. Well, she filled out all the paperwork, sent her photo in. Harvard said, oh, it's nice you're the top student, but you can't come here because you're female. And at that time, she was already friends with Eleanor Roosevelt and, knew the president and all, had written him many times. And he was an alum of Harvard. He wrote a letter asking them to consider her and to let her come into the school. And they wrote the President of the United States and said, I'm sorry, our rules are all male.
Wow.
And she did not get in.
She did
so
go.
That is how she ended up
at Yale?
In California, at Berkeley. Got it at
right, at Berkeley. Yeah. But you mentioned her, she went to Berkeley. She's at Howard. She was at Berkeley. Of course, she was at Yale. And got that degree from Yale. So she, there's no question about her pedigree, no question at all. But it is funny, and I don't mean ha funny, but it's just. It's funny, but also debilitating to hear that Harvard wrote the President of the United States and says, "Sorry, Mr. President, she's a woman and she can't come." History is a fascinating thing. Fascinating. Let me ask you right quick, because I want to save 5 minutes to talk about the House very quickly. I've referred to her, as we always do, of course, as the Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray. Tell me right quick about that part, the Reverend part.
Well, of course, she'd spent years and years as a professor, a writer, a poet, and, of course, all the legal work that she did. And she had some tragedy happen. She lost her partner of 17 years. And it really was very hard on her. Throughout her personal life, she had always had some ups and downs.
Yeah.
And so thinking of all the years, like 40 years of fighting for human rights and what have you, and she decided that perhaps she should investigate religion. Now, there were two reasons. She was born an Episcopalian. Right. That's the way it happened in my family.
Sure.
So she had been going to the Episcopal Church, like from 3 and 4. But she had not had a formal part in the church in terms of study and what have you. Right. But there was a bishop named Delaney who twice during Aunt Paulie's lifetime told her that she was a prodigy and that she somehow was going to be tied to the church. When he first told her, she was rather young.
Right.
But on his dying bed, as he was dying, they, as family friends, she and her Aunt Pauline were visiting with him. And he reminded them that he had told them that, and that he expected her to be, somehow involved in the church. And she decided to go to seminary.
Yeah.
And I think a part of that was, because of the tragedy she had gone through, but also because of her closeness to God. I mean, she had to use her religion to get her through all of the trauma of civil rights. And, being black and being female and not getting the opportunities she deserved.
No, you got to have some sort of faith to call on in moments like those.
Exactly.
I've got 3 minutes left. This time is getting away so quickly. Tell me very quickly here about the Pauli Murray Center for History and Social Justice at Aunt Paulie's childhood home in Durham, North Carolina.
Well, we opened on Saturday for the first time fully with over 500 people there. Just as you said, years in the making. We started, I wasn't there in 2009, but I've been involved in about 8 years of the work. And so the home is open. It will be the core of what we have designed. It will be an opportunity for people to come there to study, to write their dissertations, to interact with others who are probably interested in social justice and advocacy, religion. It could be poetry. It could be writing. There will be, books that they can use. We will have all kind of interactive programs going on. Of course, we want school children to come. So anything that's along those lines, we'll do co-op work with other organizations who have the same kind of values we do. We'll have self-guided tours, virtual tours, inside tours, outside tours, and video tours. So we're just so excited.
Oh, yes.
We will, of course, teach them more about all the work that she did throughout her life. And also have the community give input of what they'd like to see there.
Oh, yeah.
And do there. So we're real excited about that.
No, it's a great honor. It is a great honor, and I'm glad I could steal you away for just 30 minutes to talk about it. It is called the Pauli Murray Center for History and Social Justice in Aunt Paulie's childhood home in Durham, North Carolina. I can't wait to get back to Durham to go visit it myself. But an iconic and amazing, and as you can tell, brilliant civil rights legal pioneer, feminist, activist. Just an amazing sister all the way around, finally getting her respect. There's a documentary called My Name is Pauli Murray. My Name is Pauli Murray. The documentary is streaming right now, and you might want to check that out if you have not seen it. But I'm out of time. Rosita Stevens-Holsey, thank you for checking in with us. Glad to hear this news about this new center, and congratulations on all the hard work that you and the board did to make this happen.
Thank you.
Good to have you on. When we come forward, from one legend, Pauli Murray, to another legend, Isaac Hayes, we'll be joined by Isaac Hayes III to talk about why they wanted Donald Trump to stop playing his daddy's song at Trump rallies. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congress returns today after a 6-week recess as a possible government shutdown looms. Current funding for the government runs out September 30th. A potential shutdown would see federal agencies and national parks close. A stopgap bill will likely be needed to avoid a shutdown. The trial in the death of African-American Tyree Nichols begins today. 3 former Memphis police officers each face 2 federal counts of civil rights violations, conspiracy to tamper with evidence, and obstruction of justice. The mother of a teenager accused of killing 4 people at a Georgia high school says she called the school before the attack to warn what she believed was an extreme emergency. The Washington Post says records show that Marcy Gay called the Appalachia High School. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 in my garage after I overpaid for new blinds. I researched the industry, hired my mom, and 14 years later, we're one of the largest retailers of custom blinds in the U.S. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A mixed bag for LA's NFL teams in week 1 of the regular season. The Chargers won their first game with new coach Jim Harbaugh. The Rams lost in overtime at Detroit. The Rams never got the ball in the overtime session. The Lions drove 70 yards in 8 plays. 7 of the 8 plays were on the ground, capped by a 1-yard touchdown run by Lions running back David Montgomery. The Rams are at Arizona next Sunday. The Chargers had more rushing yards than passing yardage in their 12-point win over the Las Vegas Raiders at SoFi. J.K. Dobbins ran for 135 yards and 1 touchdown. Even though the Chargers have one of the NFL's best quarterbacks in Justin Herbert, Harbaugh let everybody know that his team will be running the football. The Chargers are at Carolina next Sunday. The Dodgers shut out Cleveland Sunday. They now have a 6-game lead over San Diego in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
The legendary Isaac Hayes co-wrote Hold On, I'm Coming with his songwriting partner David Porter, performed by Sam and Dave. The song released back in 1966. I am pleased to be joined now by Isaac Hayes III, son of Black Moses, son of Mr. Hot Buttered Soul, to talk about the recent judgment that forced Donald Trump's campaign to stop using his father's song at rallies. We'll also talk about his work at fan base. But for starters, Isaac Hayes, first of all, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. It's good to hear your voice again. Let me jump right in and make the most of the time that we have, the limited time that we have. Tell me about this lawsuit and why y'all didn't want Donald Trump playing this song at his rallies.
Simply because it was just a case of copyright infringement. We had terminated the publishing on my father's music. Started back in 2014, and so we got that song back in 2022. And as soon as we get it back, 2 months later, Donald Trump starts infringing on the copyright to our song. So it's a matter of copyright infringement that he simply, was told not to play the song, and he continued to play the song.
No, but no politics here. I mean, it had nothing to do with Donald Trump being Donald Trump.
But that is separate from politics, meaning that's separate from a political campaign. The fact that Donald Trump has been found liable of sexual abuse, it's more about protecting the legacy of my father and people making the assumption that a song that he wrote is associated with Donald Trump and his character.
Yeah, I get that. Tell me how the Trump people responded to the lawsuit.
Initially, they hadn't responded, but once they knew things were serious and we got this emergency hearing, they showed up to court and I guess tried to make a case that was, not necessarily fact-based, but the clear chain of title is that we own the copyright. Donald Trump was served a letter from BMI to stop playing the song as of June 5th, and he continued to play the song. So that is willful copyright infringement, and so they have no defense for that based off the evidence that we presented in court.
Is Donald Trump, to your knowledge, still playing the song? This court order notwithstanding?
No, I don't know. I would hope he would take the judge's ruling seriously and not play the song, because those would just add up to the multiple amounts of copyright infringement that he's already facing. Yep.
So again, to your knowledge, he has not continued to play the song.
No.
Okay. I'm fascinated because this is inside baseball, but I love this kind of stuff. Tell me more about the journey that you referenced, but I want to get more detail about the journey to getting the copyright to your father's songs back. And as you well know, whether we're talking Stax or Motown or any other record, I can do this all day long. I've been fortunate, as you probably know, over the course of my career. I knew your father, interviewed him many times, hung out with your father and my friend David Porter at Stax in Memphis. So I consider myself a friend of your father's, your late great father, and still a friend of David Porter's. So I know this sort of backstory well of all the artists I've interviewed over the course of my career about what it means to fight to get your masters, what it means to fight to get your copyright. Prince, obviously a dear friend of mine, went through all of that. So I know this. Anita Baker just got hers back not long ago. This is not an uncommon fight. Tell me about your particular fight for your dad's songwriting titles.
Well, it's double, it's a double sensitive subject, because my father actually lost the rights to his music because of a bankruptcy that he had to file in '74, a year before I was born. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, on top of copyright law gives the opportunity for the authors of their works to reclaim the copyright after 56 years of songs that were written before 1978, and after 78, 35 years to reclaim that copyright. And so we've exercised our right to do that. We started with the first batch of songs that are his songwriting catalog, and then we're moving on to the songs that Isaac Hayes as the solo artist did, and then we're moving on to the songs that people sampled, the over 1,100 to 1,500 songs that people sampled of Isaac Hayes. And so this is extremely important, and other artists should know about this, because you only have a limited amount of time to terminate those copyrights and return them. So we filed those notices back in 2014. They started to take effect around 2018, 19, and so on and so forth, and will continue to take effect until we get all of his copyrights back.
And what does getting all these copyrights back, to use your phrase, mean for the family, but as importantly for your father's musical legacy?
Well, it's an opportunity to return ownership and generational wealth to my family that we never saw. Imagine all these artists that sampled Isaac Hayes over the years, about creating about $60 million worth of revenue off sampling and licensing his music, and he never saw a dime from that. And so that's important, because that greatly affected our family, and that, other people that don't look like us going to the mailbox, getting checks off your father's work and being able to put their kids through college and be able to, invest and have generational wealth off the work of your father. So it's an injustice that is, gone on far too long. So I'm happy to be able to do this.
Yep. Tell me, as his son, of course, what your greatest joy is when you hear your father's music, when you look at that vast catalog of stuff that he did, in fact, write and perform. You feel what?
I mean, I feel honored. I mean, my father was a musical genius, a self-taught musician that went from, poverty to the highest heights of American success as an Academy Award winner, and someone that reshaped the way that R&B is consumed in this country by adding, flutes and horns and strings to these grungy sounds, and created, a pathway for hip hop and all these opportunities for people to be, use this great music. So my father is an innovator and an icon.
And finally, on your father, I think finally, and then we'll get to your work at Fanbase. I've been following you since you were first on this program and seeing the eye-popping amount of money you're raising and what you're doing with your own technology work. We'll talk about Fanbase here in just a second. But tell me finally here about what you think your father's presence at the Stax label meant, what it ultimately did. Everybody knew Motown, and Motown had its own sound. But then Stax comes online in Memphis. It's grittier, it's funkier, it's soulful to the core. And so Motown's a beautiful thing. I love Berry Gordy. Don't get me wrong, we love Motown. But Stax gave us something altogether different. I miss my friend Rance Allen, who was on the Stax label. So, but Stax just gave us something different. What about your father's role in helping to build the house of Stax?
Well, I mean, he started out as a session musician and really went uncredited on a lot of great songs, that he did, just, providing his genius in arrangement. The horn arrangement of Try a Little Tenderness at the very beginning is by Isaac Hayes. He was a songwriter. Him and David Porter wrote amazing hit records together, and then he had a vision of his own to become a solo artist and wound up being, one of the most iconic black artists of all time. And, going from the, that perspective of becoming someone that was almost like more than 70% of the income of a label that had 30 or plus artists and innovating. Stax was like, you're putting the problems of your in your music. Motown, the songs were nice and poppy, but Stax put your business out there, and they really connected with the audience of people. They put their pain in their records.
Yeah. No, I saw your dad the other night on Watch Stax. I think Watch Stax may very well be like the greatest concert ever recorded. It was just an amazing day here in L.A. at the Coliseum for all these artists at Watch Stax. But when Isaac Hayes walks out with that outfit at the end to close that, it was just an amazing thing. I watch Stax as often as I can. It always does something to me and for me, and it's your dad's presence that day was iconic in a variety of ways. We'll continue our dialogue with Isaac Hayes III when we come forward. He successfully sued to get Donald Trump to stop using his dad's song, Hold On, I'm Coming. I ain't mad at him about that, but when we come forward, we'll talk about his genius in his own right. You're listening to Isaac Hayes III on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Isaac Hayes III. In case you've just tuned in, we are talking about his genius on two different fronts, two different levels. One, he successfully sued the campaign of Donald Trump to stop using his father's song, co-written with David Porter, Hold On, I'm Coming, performed by Sam and Dave, at Trump rallies. And they said, enough of that. Copyright infringement. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And Trump did not initially stop it because he doesn't like being told what to do. But they went to court and were successful in making this case about copyright infringement. And Donald Trump had to cease and desist, as it were, playing Sam and Dave, Hold On, I'm Coming, at these rallies. But Isaac Hayes III is doing his own thing and quite frankly doing it rather well. So I'm watching my time here. But for those who have not heard about Fan Base, tell me about the platform first, and then we'll talk about all this money you raising, man.
Well, Fanbase was my vision to create a platform that could hold Black culture infrastructure, right? So when you think of history, a lot of these, infrastructures of football teams, baseball teams, record labels are owned by white institutions, but they are powered by Black innovation, Black athletes, Black artistry. And the same goes for social media, that, social media is powered by young, innovative Black culture, and these companies wound up being multi-billion-dollar corporations. So I wanted to create something disruptive, number one, that allowed anybody to monetize their content on social media with Fanbase, but secondly, provide an opportunity for people to actually own a part of the company because, again, Black culture makes these platforms, $100 billion, $200 billion, $300 billion, $1.2 trillion companies. But at the end of these companies on the cap table are people that don't look like us, and often we get mistreated, especially all the users that create so much content for social media. So it's a free app that anybody can download and use, but you can have followers on the app, and you can also have subscribers using a multitude of creator tools and functionalities like audio, video, short form, long form stories, live, etc., that you can post content. So it's just like any other social network, but this is the next generation where we don't run ads, we don't suppress content, and we allow everybody to make money from day one.
When we come forward, we'll talk about allowing everybody to make money from day one. We'll talk about the equity crowdfunding. We'll talk about what that ownership pool looks like. A whole lot of Black folk getting in on this, not just Black folk, but many of us getting in on it. We'll tell you how you can and what that all means when we come forward and talk a bit more about Fan Base with the founder, Isaac Hayes III, on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you can start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
You okay?
Sorry, I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Isaac Case III for at least 4 more minutes between now and the top of the hour. So you were talking earlier about the ownership structure that you have built into fan base. Tell me more about that and what that actually looks like these days.
So because of this regulation put in place by Barack Obama called the Jobs Act, it allows any person to invest in early-stage startup companies like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, without actually having to be an accredited investor, which is already rich. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's significant because we've been able to raise over $12 million from people that are listening to your program right now for small amounts of capital investments. It's minimum as low as $399, which we're doing now. We're raising $17 million, and I'm telling you, this is a call out to everybody that's listening that you can actually own part of the next generation of social media platforms and fan base. We raised about $12 million. We're raising $17 million now, and I tell everybody, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest in Fanbase and have equity, and then come use the platform because these platforms continue to scale. I've managed to take this company from $20 million to $160 million valuation in 4 years, and I'm going to continue to do that, but it can only be done by people like your listeners that come and invest and help us continue to scale. We don't get the same looks that venture capital does to these other startup founders that give them $35, $40 million to blow. We have to bootstrap and get this money from the ground up, and so this is a community-led effort, but it's also an opportunity for the users to actually own something that they use and benefit from.
What is that? What is that? Let me rephrase this. What are people being drawn to? I mean, obviously the capacity to make money, the ability to make money is always a beautiful thing, but I sense it's more than that, Isaac. It's more than just wanting to make some money down the road. What is it you believe that people are being drawn to that convinces them to invest in Fanbase?
Well, number one, the product is solid. We haven't really had a black-owned social media platform since Black Planet in 2000. It's 2024. But over the last, 24 years, black culture has managed to build up these corporations to multi-billion-dollar platforms. Number one, we allow you to be yourself. We're not suppressing content, banning people, blocking people from using the app based off the things that they say. I'm a big believer in free speech, the ability to express your opinion. That's one thing. The ability to reach all your following and more with engagement, which is important because social media plays these games where they block you from people seeing your content, because of advertising and so on and so forth, and then an opportunity to create generational wealth. I'll remind users of the story that Orrin Michaels, an investor in Uber, put $5,000 into Uber in 2010. In 2019, when the company went public, that $5,000 was worth $24 million. He got an opportunity to make generational wealth, but he was already rich. But it's okay for anybody right now to go put $5,000 on a crap table or $5,000 on a basketball game or $5,000 in lottery tickets. So I think what's drawing people to Fanbase is the investment opportunity, because you actually get to own part of a tech startup, a functioning, available platform that's in 190 countries on iOS and Android that has over 800,000 users, and you yourself get to have stock in it. This isn't GoFundMe. This isn't Kickstarter. This is equity. So anybody that understands investment and understands pre-IPO investing, not post-IPO investing, understands how valuable an opportunity this is, that you can own stock before the company goes public, before the company gets acquired. And that's where the bigger paydays tend to be. Yeah. And so that's why I think people are drawn to investing in the platform.
It's an amazing, amazing story about equity crowdfunding. For those who want to learn more right quick about Fanbase and how to invest, give it to me one more time, Isaac Hayes III.
Go to startengine.com/fanbase, and the minimum to invest is $399. If you see anything other than $399, manually put that in, because the average investment that people are putting into the platform is around $1,000. But we'll take $1,000 too. But I also want people to know that you can actually get in and own a part of a tech startup for $399. So go to startengine.com/fanbase right now and invest.
You're doing some amazing stuff, Isaac Hayes III. Protecting your dad's legacy is vitally important, and building the legacy for you and your family is also important. And you're doing it all and doing it quite well. Good to have you back on the program, my friend. All the best to you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
My great honor. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Congress returns today after a 6-week recess as a possible